I just want to take a minute to read to you all what I posted yesterday on my Instagram because I had a lot of white ladies in my DMs who were upset with me for being so vocally pro-Palestine. I'm just going to read word for word what I said. If my speaking up for the innocent Palestinian men, women, and children who are being ethnically cleansed offends you, leads you to unfollow me, causes me to lose partnerships or brand deals, then so be it. Just as I have been vocal against transphobia, anti-Semitism, homophobia, racism, misogyny, sexism, patriarchy, capitalism, labor exploitation, and discrimination in all forms, in my writing, in my videos, in my work for the ACLU and political organizing, in my work for Planned Parenthood, the United Nations, and more. I will do the same against Islamophobia and the dehumanization of Palestinian people who have done nothing other than exist. I believe discrimination and hatred of any group is wrong, period. Throughout my life, I have written, protested, shared, amplified, and worked for organizations that share my values of liberation and dignity for all. I value the liberation of the oppressed more than I value your opinion of me. I value the liberation of the oppressed more than I value money. I will continue speaking up because dehumanization and violence against an oppressed population is always wrong. Right now, when every major power is supporting Israel's violence against innocent Palestinian civilians, my ignoring their struggle for freedom or abandoning their voices would fundamentally go against everything I believe in, everything I have founded my life, integrity, and character upon. I realize that the centrist Democratic Party line is solidarity with Israel no matter what, even though I have been employed by the Democratic Party on a number of occasions and worked to elect Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012, Hillary Clinton in 2016, Joe Biden in 2020. I do not agree with Joe Biden at all with his stance on this issue. I believe his military support of Israel with the goal of exterminating the Palestinian people is an obvious war crime to anyone who sees. I am sorry for those who feel that my support of Palestine negates my support of persecuted Jews. I find this wildly unfair, as I have been loudly vocal in my support of the Jewish community my entire life. I have written extensively on my platforms about the dangers of anti-Semitism and have often posted in solidarity with and advocating for Jewish causes, Jewish lives, Jewish liberation, and Jewish dignity for all. I have used my voice again and again and again to write about and publish support for Jewish writers and artists and thinkers. I have written newsletters and published essays about the dangers of fascism and the lessons that we can learn from the Jewish people. But hear me when I say this. The Jewish people and the Israeli government are not one and the same. To assume such is so beyond wildly reductive. Conflating them or insinuating that supporting Palestinian liberation is somehow anti-Semitic is a logical fallacy and an attempt to homogenize a complex and diverse group of people. Not every Jewish person supports Israel and or Zionism, just as not every American supports police brutality or Donald Trump. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie warned us of the dangers of a single story in her viral 2009 TED Talk, and we would be wise to listen. Let me reiterate for those who seem in any way confused. I stand for the liberation of any oppressed minority group, as I have done for my entire fucking life and career. I was the first person in my high school to found a leftist club for those against the war crimes committed in the wars waged against Iraq and Afghanistan. I have been protesting racism, homophobia, and discrimination since I was literally in middle school. I have seen every way a politician, an oppressive power, a local committee person, or a military backed by corporations can twist, dehumanize, or spread propaganda to enable public consent for violence or dissent. I will not abandon a certain group of people because it is unpopular or lacks institutional support. If anything, that drives me and should drive you to support that group more vigorously and vocally. As a queer person, I know the pain of being reduced to an identity and facing unfounded assumptions. I am profoundly disappointed in my friends, peers, professors, students, and colleagues who have remained silent on this issue. It took 20 years for many of y'all to finally condemn the war on terror as a racist and imperialistic project built on lies and deceit. And I am disappointed that so many seem to have not learned from that and are repeating the harmful xenophobic rhetoric of the early 2000s again. Will it take another 20 years for you to admit that it is wrong to bomb neighborhoods and hospitals and places of worship and bakeries and schools and residential neighborhoods? Will it take you another 30 years for you to say, yes, poisoning wells is wrong, ethnic cleansing is wrong? Why is it so hard for you to stand up for those who are marginalized? Is it because you fear what other people think? Do people's opinions of you matter more to you than the lives of the slaughtered? If you've ever asked yourself what you would have done during apartheid in South Africa, the Holocaust of the Jewish people, the Vietnam War, and the list could go on forever, the answer is whatever you're doing right now. Are you staying silent to preserve the status quo out of fear? That's what you would have done then too, I'm afraid. But it's not too late. It is never too late to raise your voice, to amplify stories on the ground, to stand in solidarity, to do literally anything other than staying silent. Please, please, please think critically and independently of what others tell you to think. Do your research. Form an opinion based on the logic of humanity, the truths we know from the struggle of every oppressed group throughout history. Don't blindly recite the propaganda of military powers. If we do not learn from history, we are destined to repeat it again. Peace, love, and solidarity to all who are oppressed. I will stand for you now as I always have.